hello. Welcome, kings and queens, to another episode of Faith Helps Podcast. And I am your host, Diamond Booth. And if this is your first time here, welcome. You're in for a treat. And if this is not your first time here and you are returning, you already know what's going on. You already know what's up. I'm glad to have you here. I'm glad that you're returned. I'm glad that you're still tuning in. Hopefully you're liking and subscribing and sharing too. All right. Now, if you watched last week's episode, this setup looks familiar. So, as you guys should know by now, unless you are new and this just so happens to be the very first episode ever that you're listening to, as of 3 episodes ago, I have finally shifted to making sure that my episodes are audio and visual for my YouTube viewers. And so, here I am again. If you watch last week's episode, you will see that I'm wearing the same earrings, same shirt, sitting in the exact same precise spot I was in for last week's episode. And that is because, as you heard in last week's episode, where I left off at the end of that, was I remembered that there was a second thing I was supposed to bring up in that episode. And because I didn't use notes for last week's episode, I forgot what that second thing was. And I mentioned it at the beginning of the episode, and then we went down a rabbit hole about not despising the day of small beginnings and really just diving into starting the project, starting the business, starting whatever it is that you feel passionate or called or interested or skilled to do, just starting even if you feel like it's imperfect. So we went down that whole rabbit hole, and it ended up being much longer than anticipated, but you know, everything happens for a reason. And it just so happened that as soon as I clicked off, you guys saw that I took a moment of silence trying to remember what that second point was, and I couldn't remember it. And as soon as I clicked off, I remembered. And I am going to take that as yet another example of how everything happens for a reason. So I, as you see, decided to leave that episode as just being focused on not despising small beginnings, and you know, not allowing imperfection to hinder you from ever starting something. And I'm going to make this episode about that second point, which was about protecting your energy. And it dawned on me as soon as I hit end, and I was like, darn it, that's what it was. But you know what? I think that it's good to break things up, given that recent research has stated that the human's attention span is becoming less than a goldfish, which is devastating. Unfortunately, I think that it actually probably is a better situation that we're in, where I have broken it up into 2 different episodes. So 2 birds, 1 stone. I'm recording this episode a week in advance. So be it. Yeah, let's go ahead and jump in before I go down another rabbit hole and forget what I actually wanted to bring up. And it was about protecting your energy and what happened that led me to that point, which ultimately is what led me to take a seat at this desk in the first place and do last week's episode. So as I was thinking about the fact that I wouldn't have time to record for last week's episode, given that I would have to go to the conference, I was really kind of wrestling that hour before I decided to record that episode. I was really wrestling with feeling unproductive and feeling drained and just a lot of different things that were like coming up for me, and also feeling like I need to be working towards it. And part of it is because I am very protective of my time, how I'm spending my time, and I've been in the season of being very, very mindful of protecting my time and my energy. And so as I actually hopped in the shower and was going to prepare to go to bed, and this is when it dawned on me, I was thinking and reflecting, as showers do. They tend to have that effect on us. But nevertheless, and it dawned on me how important it is to be very careful of who you allow to touch and impact your energy. What the heck am I talking about? Here's what I'm talking about. Sometimes in our life, we are not careful or aware. I'll say aware. Sometimes we're not always aware of how intensely people that we allow into our space can impact us and impact our energy. When I say energy, I'm not talking about chakras or stuff like that. That's just not what I am referencing when I mean it. I know that some people could take it to that point. When I say energy, I am talking about your actual energy. I am talking about that fatigue, that sleepiness, that drained feeling, that tension in your shoulders. I am talking about feeling like you need a nap. That's what I'm meaning when I say it. And the reason why I feel like it's relevant is because some people can have that effect on you, that after hanging out with them or spending time with them, you feel so sleepy. You feel so burdened. You feel the tension in your shoulders. You feel stressed. You feel anxious because you've picked up a lot of, it's maybe become a parasitic relationship because all you do is take on what they give you and you're carrying their burdens, or you're suppressing aspects of yourself in order to people please or to keep them comfortable or to make them happy. Or it doesn't always have to be a situation of like friends. This also happens with family. Sometimes with our family especially, we can be in situations where we're constantly being required or expected to do X, Y, and Z, or you're the point person to do X, Y, and Z chores or responsibilities, and in some circumstances you don't have quite yet have the freedom or audacity, if you would like to say, to be able to set boundaries. But I think it's important to start at least thinking about the boundaries that you need to set for yourself. Sometimes I tell my clients, when you're in a situation where you can't physically, be financially independent, and remove yourself, for example, from your parents' household, you can still be mindful of how else are you allowing your energy to be impacted and who to drain you, right? For example, if you are in an environment that is particularly draining, such as like with family, you do have the choice to what extent do you engage, right? So one, an environment can be stressful and drain you and make you feel more fatigued, but also how you're interacting in that environment can impact you. Not every argument needs to be had. There are many times when I have had to decide and tell myself, is this worth the energy I'm about to expend just to try to prove a point or to be right? Sometimes it's wiser and healthier to hold your tongue. Sometimes it's wiser and healthier to take a step back and ask yourself, is this actually necessary, right? This does not just apply to the stressful situations. This also applies to this new rave about networking, as well as like social engagements and friendships and those sorts of things. It is okay to be selective in how you use your time, whether it's with friends, whether it's with colleagues, whether it's with other social groups, whatever it may be. You are allowed to be selective and wise about how you expend that time, because people do and can pull energy from you. Some people are energy givers and you feel charged up, so to speak, or you feel revitalized when you're around them, or you feel encouraged and inspired. Sometimes, on the other hand, and this is the point that I wanted to talk about, you feel more burdened, you feel less energized, you feel more fatigued, you feel more sleepy. And then you don't do the things that you actually want to do. You don't accomplish the activities that you actually felt like you wanted to accomplish. For example, if you're hanging out with friends and you didn't really want to go out with them, you really want to just, focus on reading a book or listening to your Audible, whatever it may be, or doing a craft, whatever it was. And instead you decide to go out with them. And the entire time you're there, they are maybe having fun, but you're kind of feeling like, oh, why am I here? Oh, I'm here to support them because my friends like this, or because I want to, do what pleases them. Well, you have just made the decision to pour energy into something that could have been used for something or someone else. When I say someone else, I'm meaning like someone healthy, someone who pours back into you, like a mentor, or even mentees. I think that it can be a reciprocal situation or relationship. But the point is that sometimes we have to be mindful and sit down and ask ourselves, how am I using my energy? I just talked a lot about the people aspect, but it also applies to activities. What are you using your energy on? And is it fruitful? Is it worthwhile? Last week's episode was about starting the project, and do not despise the day of small beginnings. Well, the same applies to everything else. Are you spending energy just scrolling mindlessly on Instagram? Or are you spending energy writing out that poem, or working towards that project, that passion project that you've been dreaming day and night about? Are you using energy to look through the latest Drake and Kendrick Lamar updates? Or are you using your energy to take a bubble bath and take time to actually love on yourself and take care of your skin and your health and your body? Do you use time just watching fitness models on Instagram do these insane, bizarre workouts where they're lifting barbells, flipping over, doing a push-up, and then magically catching the barbell with their toe? Or are you actually getting up and going to the gym? And even if you don't go to the gym, maybe you use your living room space or take 5 minutes outside to just walk and get active. How are you using your energy? There are things that can feel fun, and they're actually draining your energy and making you less productive in the long run. I'll be honest. I'll be the first one to admit, I love myself a nice wine of glass, especially while I'm working on a collage or doing some type of painting or artwork. However, if you are taking that and making it a everyday, all day, 5 days a week, 24/7 thing, it's actually counterproductive, and it's not healthy for you. It's pulling more away from you. It's making you less creative. It's making you, first off, there's a lot of health implications that drinking that frequently and to that, and that amount on a regular basis can have on you. But also, it's important to be mindful of, is this an activity that is pouring into me, or is it pouring out of me? So for example, there are times where something that may feel fun is actually taking more away from you. For example, let's say you really love, I'll use myself as an example. I really love collaging. If you watched last week's episode, I'm going to plug it again. If you watched last week's episode, I showed you guys a collage project that I've been working on based off of the theme of travel, and just like traveling and embracing it, all that stuff. And it is when it's finished, it'll be a nine piece collage. And if I dedicated every single day, all day, to just doing collaging, I would be neglecting and pouring all of my energy into that, and neglecting this podcast, neglecting my nonprofit, neglecting the book that I'm working on. I would be neglecting these other aspects. So it's important to not just be mindful where you're putting your energy, but how much of your energy you are putting into different things. It's okay to be passionate and very excited to do multiple things. But it is also important to be mindful and wise about how you are managing your time and your energy and where you are devoting it. For example, why I love my homegirls dearly. Shout out to Kia, Shanice, Tierney, Jordan. You guys have been awesome. And we have a group chat together, and I feel pretty certain that they are okay with me sharing this, but, there has been this running joke that Diamond does not, i.e. me, does not respond to messages. And I am guilty as charged. I don't typically, I'm just like horrible with my phone sometimes. It depends. Let's dive into it. What actually happens, and I've shared this with them, is when I see in the group chat that there's 14 missed messages, I ask myself, do I have time and energy to devote to this? Especially when it's during the week. 9 times out of 10, I don't feel mentally in a space to sit down and read all 14 messages that I've missed from the day, because I've just been either busy with clients or in meetings and just haven't been able to respond and keep updated on whatever's going on. Also, something that I had to come to terms with and know about myself and be honest with them about is the fact that for me, it's energy draining if what is being discussed in the chat isn't something that needs an immediate response. If it's like us coordinating something, I'll wait till you make the decision and have the final plan set, and then I'll say whether or not I'll be there. When it's just things about like a video or just miscellaneous things, I don't typically respond to them. Or if it's something that the group is talking about and it's something maybe more important to one particular person, I will respond directly to that person separately and privately, because that's just how I do things. I'm a one-on-one person. I'm not going to make it a group thing. And that's something I've been transparent and honest about. Another thing that I would add to that is the fact, though, for me, I have a group of friends who are, one, able to handle that type of honesty, and they are a healthy group of young women who are able to allow me to express myself and be myself. I don't have to spend energy on shape shifting and trying to be something that I'm not, which would ultimately just end in me being resentful. And I think that's another important consideration to have when you are looking at your circle and looking at who you are spending energy and time with. So I think that this is just important for us to keep in mind when it comes to how we're using our energy. Maybe you are like me and you don't have the energy to respond and keep up with the group chat, tit for tat as they're going. Maybe you're the type of person like me who responds a day later, when things are said and done. And they clown me about this in the most loving way. And I know that they still love me, flaws and all, for it, but they also don't take it personal. And I think that that's something that's important for people on both ends of a relationship to recognize, is one, not just accepting people for who they are, but also not taking something as personal, right? Sometimes people are doing what's best for them because it's also what's healthiest for them. As I've gotten to learn myself and know myself more, I know what I do and do not have the capacity and the energy and the time for. And so I also recognize what works best for my type of schedule. Typically, when it's not downtime at the office, I have clients every hour on the hour. So from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m., 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., I'm seeing clients, sometimes 5 to 7 doing an outreach. The 12 o'clock hour is supposed to be lunch. Sometimes I don't always get to take my lunch because there's a crisis that's happening that I need to attend to, or I have to do some really important documentation that's time sensitive. And so there are times where at the end of my day, I don't have I don't have my battery full enough to catch up on all of the messages and respond to each individual thing. For me, what would work better is going ahead and acknowledging that, man, I know I'm 2 days late, but just finally caught up on the messages. Dang, it's crazy that y'all did XYZ. Also, to so-and-so, I wanted to mention da-da-da-da-da. And we laugh, we acknowledge, we move on. Or we just talk about when I see them in person. Nevertheless, it boils down to one, having enough grace for other people and not taking things personally, and also respecting how other people want to protect their energy and how they want to use their energy, and trusting that it's not something for you to take personal. And so that is what I wanted to leave you guys with today, is to be mindful words of how you're expending and using your energy and where you are devoting your energy to. Just how you would do time management, use time management when it comes to your energy. Being mindful of how much of yourself you're devoting your time, attention, and vitality to a particular project, and then are there things that you're neglecting that is causing it to feel like there's an imbalance, and what are some ways that you can create some more balance? Cool. So that's what I wanted to leave you guys with for this episode, and I just hope that you guys are mindful to protect your energy and to use it wisely. And if nothing else, remember, faith helps. Peace out.